Hi, my name's Marion. I'm a farmer from Western Illinois. I'm also the owner and the CEO of Kelmer Cornheads, and we're best noted for the BT chopper that'll take the corn stalk during harvest and chew it up into confetti so that it decomposes faster and it's less of a problem for planting the next spring. We've been working on trying to make combines work better over the last 10, 20 years, or maybe my entire life. And we're happy to announce that we have a kit now that's called the High Performance Concave Upgrade Kit. So these are the problems that I've been having when harvesting corn: rotor loss, damaged grain, and splintered cobs. So our solution when harvesting corn is to widen the space between the round bars. Allows more of the grain to fall out, and it solves several of those problems. Now, when I go to harvesting soybeans, this is going to be a liability to me. It's an asset for corn, but it's a liability in soybeans. So the problem I was having when harvesting the soybeans and small grain was unthreshed pods or heads in the tank. I would see high tailings or return, and I would see some sib loss. Even the conventional machines that I ran 50 some years ago had these issues as well. So our solution when harvesting soybeans or small grain is to use a quarter wrap cover plate, which will hold these unthreshed pods or unthreshed heads into the chamber longer so that they can rub. And then we add quarter wrap mog-limiting inserts so that we don't allow too much of the plant material to escape the rotor chamber. Because if that happens, now we've overloaded the cleaning system down below. So the benefits from our testing would tell us somewhere between a 40 and 50% reduction in grain loss in harvesting corn or soybeans or small grain. We're able to run a little bit faster. Same size combine, same corn head. Our throughput's better, and we can just simply travel faster. Less damaged grain, cleaner sample in the tank. But my favorite one is this one right here: less frustration, because I've been running combines forever. And in the fall, you're in a hurry, got a lot of acres to cover, the weather's a problem, and I'm dealing with trying to set that combine so I can get optimum performance and leave the least amount of grain out there in the field. So let's go through how the combine actually works, and I can show you where we've added these components and how they perform. So this is what we call the upper portion of the combine, or the rotor. And the crop is going to go in this end of the rotor and then eventually be discharged out the back. What we're trying to do is balance this combine so that if we're getting a little bit of loss here, that we get a little bit of loss here. The problem with all of our combines has been that in corn, we get excessive rotor loss and very little sib loss. But then when we harvest soybeans or small grain, it flips. And now we don't see any rotor loss, but we see sib loss. In the rotor area, there are threshing concaves. So most of the grain is rubbed in this area and starts to separate. And then we move to the rear portion of the rotor, and that's more of what we call separating grates. And they're also metering the amount of grain that can fall out of here. So the way I like to think about this is that these are stationary or non-adjustable sieves. They have a determined gap and then between the round bars. And so they're supposed to be metering the amount of grain that falls out of here, but they're also supposed to retain the plant material so that it stays up here, because we don't have any reason to let that plant material drop down here. And if we let too much plant material into the cleaning area, and it's going to get overloaded, and that's what's going to create the sieve loss out the back. So the threshed grain is falling down here into what we call the auger bed on most machines, and then it delivers the mainly grain, a little bit of plant material, that material back here onto the top sieve. And then there's air coming from the fan, which will lift and separate. So the chaff is going airborne and the grain is falling through the top sieve. And then the bottom sieve is a little smaller and it gives us a little more cleaning. And then the clean grain comes down here into the clean auger. And then if we have some unthreshed heads or pods, they can actually go across this bottom sieve here and fall down eventually into the return or the tailings auger, and then they'll go on back around through the combine and be delivered here for a second pass. So that's basically our concept here, is that we're going to open these non-adjustable sieves a little bit wider with that air gap so we can get more corn to go through. But then when we go to harvesting soybeans or small grain wheat, then we put some inserts in here because we have to throttle that down and retain more of that plant material up here when we harvest those smaller crops. All right, that gives you the basic concepts. Let's move over here to our other displays and I'll give you a close look at the components. So now we're going to talk about the new concaves that come in our high performance concave upgrade kit. And back to the problem, that there are many days of testing with the combine in the shop during the winter months of putting 100 ears of corn in the front and running them on through and seeing where the shell corn would fall. We were able to determine that this spacing between the round bars is too narrow for corn, and it was restricting the flow. So our solution is that we came out with the Calmer Enhanced Flow round bar concave. And so we're utilizing wider spacings between those round bars, and that increases our flow rate, decreases rotor loss, broken cobs, cracked grain. So to demonstrate, we have these two plastic funnels, it's like sand through the hourglass, and I'm going to pull the trap door and step aside, and you can watch the speed at which the shell corn is going to fall out of these two funnels. Marks, get set, go. Done. Done. The other thing I want to mention is that this is clean shell corn right out of the grain bin. But in a real live harvesting scenario, this is going to have plant material. This is like 14% corn. So real life harvesting, it's going to be wet corn, 20, 25. Going to be broken cobs and a lot more things. It's really going to slow this down over here. So we believe that the OEM concave, just too narrow for corn. Our enhanced flow, a little bit wider openings, really speeds up the flow rates. All right, let's move over and let's talk about what happens when we go to harvesting soybeans. So now we're ready to harvest soybeans. But before I do, I want to put in some of our inserts to make my combine operate at peak performance. First thing we use is cover plates here in the left side and the right side, and they just cover up the round bar concave. And the reason is because the pods, when they enter the rotor chamber, are smaller than the gap, and so they're just going to fall right on through. So by putting cover plates underneath, then you can see that these are going to stay up here, and then we're going to be able to get them to rub against each other. And then as they do that, then they're going to open up. So we're going to increase our threshing power without increasing rotor speed or decreasing concave clearance. So that's how we're going to get the pods to open up, or the heads from the wheat or whatever crop we might have. The second issue that we're going to have is that once things are opened up, then we have a lot of plant material mixed in with the grain. And so as we move on back, if we don't do anything, then this material here is going to fall through those large openings, and they're going to contaminate the cleaning system with mog, which is material other than grain. So we developed mog-limiting inserts, and they reduce or throttle down the size of that opening between the round bars. So now the soybeans can fall through in to the auger bed, eventually into the sieves. But with the mog-limiting inserts, the straw is going to stay up here on top, or we want it to, so that it'll go on out the back of the combine and never get into the cleaning area. So, got to be able to get them in and out, and so we made them with a quick latch on them, and you can pull these out. The cover plates. Now we're ready to go back to corn. And the mog-limiting inserts come out the same way. So it takes a few minutes, to switch it from corn to beans. But it's worth the time. It's worth the effort, because I'm going to get peak performance when I'm cutting beans. And when I go back to corn, I'm going to get peak performance. All right, let's go review. Our new high-performance concave upgrade kit solves the problems that we're having in harvesting corn and soybeans. Rotor loss was our biggest problem in combines when harvesting corn. Also seeing some damaged grain. We were seeing some splintered cobs. Our solution was to widen the spacing out between the bars in our enhanced flow concave. And that's what it took to make our combines perform at peak performance during high yielding, high speed corn harvest. When I go to soybeans, now my problems are unthreshed pods or unthreshed heads. I have high tailings, or I have sieve loss. And I've struggled with those my entire life running combines, even the old conventional machines. So that was our problem. But our solution was with a rotary combine. We now have the luxury of being able to put inserts and cover plates in from the side of that machine. So I can use the quarter wrap cover plates to hold the pods or the heads, make them rub, make them thresh, increase my threshing power without increasing rotor speed, without decreasing concave clearance. Now, to reduce the amount of fodder and plant material that gets into the cleaning system, we also install the quarter wrap mog-limiting inserts to keep the plant material up in the rotor chamber where it belongs, and just allow the grain to fall down into the other cleaning system. Makes my harvesting experience so much happier. My benefits, somewhere between a 40 and 50% reduction in grain loss, which makes me really happy. I was able to go faster ground speeds, higher throughputs, especially in high yielding corn. Got less damaged grain, which gives me a cleaner sample, a nicer looking sample, less spoilage in the grain tank, and being able to thresh those pods out. A lot of farmers at trade shows talk to me about the ring of rotten soybean pods at the top of the grain bin every year, the green pods, and how it starts to rust out the grain bin. So we've done those things, but this is my favorite right here, reducing the frustration. And it's fun. So I want to help you have a happy harvest. We believe this kit will do it for you. And if you ever have any questions, you can call me on my cell phone, 309-368-1182. You can go to our website at calmercornheads.com and watch more YouTube videos and learn about all the parts that are in our new kit. And if you have some more burning questions or you're interested in a quote, you can call our front office and talk to one of our farmer salesmen at 309-629-9000. With that, thank you very much for taking time to watch the video. I hope that you learned something, and I hope that we're going to be able to make your harvesting experience more enjoyable. With that, stay safe. Have a great day.